Hello everyone and welcome to the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass, sponsored by SimQuips. And do we have a treat for you tonight as we are in Australia at the Mount Panorama circuit here in Bathurst. The walls are close and hopefully the racing is closer for our grand finale, as the driver we're currently watching, Sergi Sebastian, has a dominant lead in the championship as it stands. Currently about 56 points ahead. He is 56 points ahead of Johan Leff, who will need quite the result, and for Sergi Sebastian to have quite an unfortunate result in order for him to retain his championship from the last season. So we will just have to wait and see what happens as we are entering into our first flying laps of the session. Reminder to any of you who are new to this series, we will have 10 minutes of qualifying for the Porsche Cups, followed by 10 minutes of qualifying for the M2s to set our grid for tonight's race. And as we come down into the third sector, we can go on board, I think, with Sergi Sebastian as he takes us around the flying lap of this Mount Panorama circuit. Start off with a 90-degree left-hander. Really got to chuck that car in. Confident, carry the speed. It's not a long corner. All about getting this perfect exit out onto this very, very long straight. One of two potential overtaking opportunities, though, it is the long back straight where you usually see the better slipstream effect. Coming into the second corner of the racetrack, tightens through, is tighter than you maybe expect on entry, and Sergi Sebastian using all of the circuit there. As we climb the mountain, tricky section of slower corners before we head into what in a GT3 car is a completely flat out section. I think, yep, a lift there from Sergi. These Porsche Cup cars are not with the downforce that their larger brethren have with their fancy downforce. And Sergi Sebastian really wringing the neck of this Porsche Cup car down through Skyline. Is very, very smooth on the brakes. Barely a snap, barely a snap of oversteer. He's getting it more on throttle than he is on braking. As we come into the hairpin, leads us on to the long back straight, down through the chase. We're not really getting much of a distant tote from the car ahead. Not really close enough to be getting the benefit this lap around. Could be worth a couple of tenths there, so you're going to be seeing drivers maybe getting an advantage from having a car in front of them. But does also mean you might be caught out any mistakes, for instance, from the car ahead through the mounting stage. So decisions to be made during qualifying as Sergi Sebastian rounds the final corner. Short blast to the line, puts our first lap on the timing page. It is a 2:03.5. And we have times on the board from Sam McCarthy, Balazs Fahir and Chris Wright. All three of these drivers, veterans of the series. They have participated in every single one of these series that we have broadcast. As we have a new driver in provisional pole position, Kai Banks, with 2:03.2, some 3.3 tenths faster than Sergi Sebastian. A solid lap time. A driver who's not been with us all that long here at Pitskill, but is already threatening the top drivers for their Pitskill ranking. Also seen a flying lap from Matthew Harry, and the drivers who did seem like an early contender for this championship, has had bad luck befall them throughout this season as well, but also showing some good pace, just half a second off of Banks' time. And Johan Leff, our defending champion, is holding on to P2 at the moment in the championship, and is P2 on the timing tower as it stands, some 2/10 back from Kai Banks. Down the order, we have the return of Maya van Dijk to the Porsche Cups. Did have a season in the TCX, the BMW M2 last season. I think it was one of the drivers that somehow managed to switch between the two classes, if I'm not mistaken. That a little loophole has been addressed this season. So once you pick yourself a class, you are stuck with it for the season, and you get your own standings for that class. As Sergi Sebastian has retaken the top spot with a 2:03.15. A 1 point anything would be supremely impressive around this circuit. Possible in the GT3 class, not so much these Porsche Cups. As in P7, we have got John Sawyer, driver who often competing at the sharp end of the field, currently running at P5 in the championship as we head into the final round. And we also have Joe Wilson, currently making up the last spot in the top 10 with a 2-minute 4.7. They're looking to improve as they come around the final corner. Although they won't actually, because they have invalidated this lap. And Johan Leff is really flying out there at the moment. Sitting on a 2:03.1. Just 1/100th of a second faster than Sergi Sebastian, but already found a couple of tenths on this lap, really hooking up that first corner. Looking down the order, trying to find ourselves some improvers. We've got Slavik Klinger in that very familiar flame livery, getting a distant tow there from Nitro ahead. As they pour it through the final few corners, just one corner to go for Klinger. It should be a sizable improvement on their time if they can just put together one more turn. And Klinger improving by a second, move themselves up into P12. And talking of improvers, Joe Wilson, with a little bit of damage to the front of that car, has obviously been exploring the limits of this racetrack, which is a very dangerous track to be doing so. But is finding plenty of pace on this lap. Just the chicane, the final corner to go. A little bit of a slide. We'll be scrubbing off some pace. One corner to go. This is going to be an almighty lap from Joe Wilson as they cross the line. A 2:03.297. Touching distance of our front runners as Johan Leff has improved on his lap time, 2:03.015. We've got one more lap for some of these Porsche Cup drivers. Will we see anyone creep into the 2-minute 2s? Parry, actually Sergi Sebastian will be the first of the drivers to try. He's currently matching his previous best. One corner to go. Needs the exit. It's going to be a good one. It's a 2:03.04, just some 2.5 hundredths of a second. But that was a weird way of putting it. 25 thousandths of a second off of Johan Leff, who remains unchallenged for now. Kai Banks really throwing it through this final sector. There's just one corner left to navigate. Can he find some pace through this last 90-degree bend? Hard on the power to the line. Does not improve the lap. Through 3.180 is enough for 5th position. It is tight at the top. But Johan Leff wanting to assert his dominance on this session. He's got a bit of a distant tow there from, I believe, that is Alex Perry up ahead. As Leff throws into the chicane. One corner to go. Already secured pole position. But can this be a lap into the 202s? And it is a 202.9 for Johan Leff. Really, really dominant display there. And do we have anyone on a flying lap at the moment in BMWs? We do not. That looks like that car is coming out of the pit lane. Wait, nope. That one may also be coming out of the pit lane. I do not know if anyone is on a lap. This is all very confusing. We are going to pick up the number 40 car? 140. Car Aminski. I also do not think he's on a lap. Apologies, this is I'm trying to work out from ACC Race Control who's on the lap, and it doesn't tell me at the moment. And we had our eyes so focused on Johan Leff, hard to tell, but Aminski seemingly pushing on. It's hard to tell in these M2s. There's not quite the ringing it by the scruff of the neck driving that you see from the Porsche Cups. That's all about carrying the speed and not having to build up the speed again on the straights, as they do not have all that much power behind them. As running our way through the order at the moment, just notice we've got Amy Aikes. He's sat in the pit lane without the time, so we'll be starting behind all of the BMW M2s on the grid. But that is not going to be the optimum way to start this race for the Roxy driver. As Mikhail coming down the chase. And yeah, an added bit of a problem there for Aikes, as notoriously hard to get past any cars in the mountain section of this track. So she definitely will have a work cut out for her in the opening few laps, just trying to get past the traffic. So that is unfortunate, as Aminski crosses the line and has not set a lap time. So we're going to have to find out who is actually first of those drivers. It is Andre Thierry with a 2:19.7, narrowly ahead of Juhis Latz. That's with a much tighter lead in the TCX class, with just 6 points separating Latz and Svoboda. Although when drop rounds come into play, things could shake. I am not doing this maths. Terry, if you're watching, we need a calculator on the standings to work out how many points people need. As we have a new fastest lap for Oscar Jarem, sorry, with a 2:19.3. In those times started to tumble. And a reminder to any of you who may not have watched these M2s before, they take a little bit of time to get their tyres up to temperature, as the camera here at Bathurst struggles to find Magnus Mortensen, who's currently sitting on a 2:20.5, but going strong in this lap. And heading down through the chase. With Mortensen, we're seeing more and more times coming in as Svoboda, the driver in P2 in the standings, just behind Hogstad, I believe, which confusingly again, I think the Nordic drivers sharing liveries again, but Svoboda currently 6 points behind Lats. And currently one position ahead on the grid as Mortensen is up into P2 in class. As Svoboda backing off, trying to build up some space for their next flying lap. You're going to see times improving for quite a lot of drivers. Oscar Jarem, sorry. Reminder to any drivers who are watching back or watching live while the other class commentates. If I do pronounce your name incorrectly, please do let me know. I don't do it on purpose. And as Jarem crosses the line for a 2:19.092, that is a very, very solid lap time. 6.5 tenths clear of Mortensen. And we're beginning to see those times tumbling down as these M2s get some heat into their tyres, though with how long the laps are here is taking them some time to get those laps in, and now for a lot of these drivers heading on to their final lap of the session. Mikhail Minsky will get one more lap after this one. Currently heading down the chase, sitting on a 2:22.2. Plenty of scope for improvement, as we're seeing more and more drivers getting onto their fastest lap of the session. As ahead. So behind, I think we've got Thierry on an improving lap, Mortensen on an improving lap. Should see these times tumble by the end of the session. Minsky crossing the line with a 2:21.5, moving himself up into P34. As Mortensen crossing the line, getting a 2:19.647, improves in time, but nowhere near that stellar time set by Jarem. As Thierry is coming onto their final lap. We jump around, try and find some drivers improving their lap times. And I think we've got one more who's going to Oscar Jarem crossing the line. So close to getting into the 2:18s. A really impressive showing there. Some 6 tenths clear of Mortensen. this. Ooh. Thierry. Dicing with death with that wall. And here comes Jules Flint into the chicane at the end of the lap. He's sitting in P32, P6 in class for 2:20.5, finding a decent chunk of time. Just jumped by Chappelle. They clamber their way over the exit curb, final corner. Move back up past Chappelle with a 2:20.130. As Thierry sends the mountain to complete the lap. Oof! And that will not be an improvement for Thierry as they hip check the wall. And last chance of an improvement for Hogstad. With just final corner to go for Hogstad. Needs to find just a 10th to get up ahead of Lee. Will they find it? Not quite. As that brings us to the end of our qualifying session. And so a reminder for everyone of the top three in both of our classes. We have got Johan Leff starting ahead of Sergi Sebastian and Joe Wilson in the Porsche Cups. And down in the BMW M2s, it is Jarem Mortensen and Thierry. So as our drivers line up on the grid, we have a bit of time to go through and do a track walk. So as mentioned before, on pole position we have got Johan Leff. He will be starting alongside Sergi Sebastian in that Pitskill livery car. In P3 is Joe Wilson. He'll be starting alongside Sam McCarthy in P4. In P5 is Matthew Parry. We're currently sitting at P3 in the championship with 597 points. Is out of reach of any of the higher up drivers, but is under threat. In P6 we have got Kai Banks. He'll be starting alongside Callum Scotland, who currently finds himself down in P7. P8 we have a cursed livery, but we have Balazs Feher. Feher is currently P4 in the championship and sits just 39 points behind Matthew Parry. A chance here, especially with the drop rounds coming into play. A chance to challenge Parry for that final medal paying position. In P9 we have Sven van Dorst. He'll be starting alongside John Sawyer in P10. In P11 we have got Chris Wright, our series sponsor. And he is currently in P6 in the championship, just 11 points behind John Sawyer. So these are all positions that have got everything to play for. In P12 is Kenny Kroos. And starting in P13 will be Maya van Dijk, starting alongside Matthias Peltzer. In P15 is Slavik Klinger, starting alongside Nathan Williamson in that no practice gang livery. In P17 is Felinis Nitro in the also familiar Linux livery. They'll be starting alongside Saga Bakshi in a very tired looking American flag livery. In P19 is Jordi Navarro starting alongside Alex Perry in the Joker livery. Herman Drenth is in P21, also representing the No Practice gang, and they will be starting alongside Ewan Topley. P23 is Will Price starting alongside Jano Brznik. F. Martin will be starting in P25 and she'll be alongside Jakub Borovic. And then we come on to our TCX class, where in pole position will be Oscar Yarem, starting alongside Magnus Mortensen. Mortensen currently P5 in the championship. In P29 overall, P3 in class is Andre Thierry. And they'll be starting alongside our current championship leader, Juhis Lats. The Boda, P2 in the championship, P5 in class for the start of this race, and P31 overall. And they'll be starting alongside Jules Flint, who is the third position driver in this championship in the TCX class. Some way behind our first two drivers, but will be close in the championship with Anthony Victor Chappelle. He's currently P4 in the championship and just 7 points behind Flint. In P34 is James Matcham. We'll be starting alongside, or actually behind him will be starting Mikhail Arminsky. In P36 is Benjamin Odin Vedvik. We have Marco Lorenzon in P37, starting alongside Daniel Barnes in P38. P39 is Gert Andre Hogstad. And in P40 is Noah Lee. Atta Kalaskan is in P41 with Alfie Lawson in P42. In P43 we have got the shiny chrome livery of Angus McUseless, and they'll be starting alongside Rene Dreamfox in P44. And at the back of the field we have got the Roxy liveried car of Amy Aikes, a very lonely Porsche Cup car starting at the back of a field of BMW M2s. As we return to the front of our field, as Johan Leff takes us around the final chicane, and we will get ready, get this race underway. Sergi Sebastian getting intimidating alongside Johan Leff, just to be in position for the start of this race. We come down onto the start finish line. They will line up 2 by 2 as we await green flag to get this race underway. And we are racing here at Bathurst, and it's a good start. Johan Leff got the inside line covered, and Sergi Sebastian has to tuck in behind, but we'll have a glorious slipstream as we come down the first of the straights, and we have got some serious contact behind as we have drivers dropping up and down the field at the back, but Johan Leff holding on to the lead at the start of this race, followed by Sergi Sebastian, Joe Wilson and Sam McCarthy. I think that was Chris Wright who took a little bit of an excursion into the wall there as we climb the hill. Still Johan Leff, ahead of Sergi Sebastian, Joe Wilson and Sam McCarthy. And I think that was Kai Banks off into the gravel before Skyline, losing a whole heap of positions as the entire field makes their way past. Unfortunate there for Banks as we see Johan Leff descending the hill onto the chase for the first time. And Sergi Sebastian is close, not sure he's close enough. We take the long straight down the chase and we listen to that glorious sound of these Porsche Cup engines. Sergi Sebastian having a look but not close enough to have a go of the move at this stage in the race. A reminder to any of you who might be new to our series, this race does have now mandatory pit stops. No longer is this just a sprint from lights to flag. Drivers will have to come into their pit box and stop for a mandatory 25-second refueling with optional tyre change. And as Johan Leff leads and holds the lead, coming into the second lap of the race, I am interested to know what happened to the 156 car, our pole position race starter in the BMW M2 class. As we all take a look, and there is an almighty pile-up involving a lot of the M2s. I think that is also one of the Porsche Cup cars down there. So that is what happened to Oscar Jarem down in BMW land, and that is why he finds himself now at P25 overall, and that is P6 in class, as Juhis Latz now leads the way in the BMW M2 class with Marco Lorenz on behind, followed by Mortensen, Thierry, Matcham Chappelle. Where did Boda end up in all of that? Well, I'll tell you where he did end up. He ended up in the pit lane. So this seems to be a championship challenge over for Vostek Svoboda. All the way down in P39, some 20 positions behind Juhis Latz. And, well, let's not count our chickens just yet, as we know that the Mount Panorama circuit can be a cruel mistress. And these walls are exceptionally close, especially when I suspect in a couple of minutes these BMW M2s might be joined by some of our leading group of cars in the Porsche Cups. And the battle at the front of the field again, and Johan Leff continues to hold firm ahead of Sergi Sebastian, and we have got a little bit of a gap back to our next battle. It's being led by Joe Wilson, and he's followed by Sam McCarthy and Matthew Harry. And I think it would be remiss of me if we didn't go and see what happened to our series sponsor. Where is Chris Wright? Is he still in this race? I'd be very disappointed if he's not. I don't see him. I don't see a Chris Wright. Does anyone know Chris Wright's race number? As Johan Leff continues to hand the back of Sergi Sebastian. Go and find a better camera angle. And we have got some incredibly close racing here amongst the top of our Porsche Cup field. Oh, there's a little mistake there from Matthew Parry. Sees him fall off the back of Sam McCarthy. And is actually falling backwards into the clutches of Balazs Feher and Sven van Dorst. Little mistakes can be very, very costly here at Mount Panorama. And Juhis Latz has... Is that an old Porsche Cup car? No, it's not. That's still the 992. $111. I don't see any incidents for 111. We definitely saw an incident though for Chris Wright going barreling headfirst into the wall. So we'll have to go see if we can find out what happened to it. But Julius Latz has managed to let the Porsche Cup behind him go and proceeds merrily on his way. As Kai Banks, is that Banks? No, sorry, that is Will Price picking his way through some of these BMW M2 cars. And Matcham is looking for a way past Magnus Mortensen. Mortensen with a little bit of damage to, well, I say a little bit of damage to that car. It's eating flies at the moment. Way! We have to get a replay of that. Here we go. We've been waiting for it. We tried to get a two-wheel moment from Andy Hudson at Bathurst last season. He wasn't able to replicate it. But here, watching the RM. Way, two wheels. Now that frivolity is over, we will head back to the front of the field where racing is as close as it has been all race. Sergi Sebastian just 0.2 of a second behind Johan Leff. I think we've got a Kenny Crows holding up some of the drivers in the top 5. And now our race leaders are having to contend with a little bit of traffic. This one should not be too consequential, but right on that exit curb of the first corner means now Sergi Sebastian right in that slipstream of Johan Leff as they come down towards the second corner of the track. And you can hear the little lawnmower engines of the M2s ahead. Blue flags are waving as Johan Leff, not wanting to wait a second longer to get past that M2, knows that if he gets caught up behind these cars up the mountain, he could have a Sergi Sebastian right under his rear wing. And so Johan Leff, we're now a little bit of distance before he reaches the main bulk of the traffic in this race. Next up is the 114 car. That is John Sawyer, who I think also got caught up in the first lap shenanigans. And it's further down the field, Villeneuve Nitro has got Drenth and Aikes for company. Amy Aikes, who's had a phenomenal start to this race. Checking the statistics, yep, Amy Aikes up 30 positions from where she started this race. I'm going to hazard a guess that a lot of that is going to come down to the absolute carnage that occurred on lap 1. But either way, a phenomenal start of this race to keep herself out of trouble and get up to P15. For a P45 start. I'm impressed. And down in the M2s, and US Latz has got Thierry right with him as they come through into Skyline, ascending the hill. We've got a Battenbarker BMW up ahead as well to add a little spice into this equation. And these two really going at it at this stage in the race. Still just under 19 minutes remaining. And looking at the front of that car of Latz, I think there is some real damage to that car. It's really hard to tell with the paint job that Latz has chosen to run on this car to tell whether it's real damage or just livery. Maybe that is the intention, but I think I can see some what are in-game scratches on there. So obviously got a little bit caught up in the shambles on lap 1 as Amy Aix is picking her way through the traffic up into P12 now. Just got past Glenez Nitro and is on an absolute charge. And as our two lead cars dive into the pit lane at the same time, as does Joe Wilson, leaving Sam McCarthy out to lead this race. And, well, we can see why our leaders decided that this was time to peel into the pit lane, because there is a whole bunch of BMW M2 traffic ahead, which Sam McCarthy is going to have to try and drive through on his way up the mountain. So we'll keep an eye on our drivers in the pits. Left has now been stopped for 29 seconds. It has been dropped from his jacks. Sergi Sebastian now out into the lead, and side by side out of the pits comes Johan Leff with Joe Wilson. It was a slow stop for Leff. 30 seconds stopped in his box. I think maybe just having to get moved into position. And this means Sergi Sebastian takes the race lead as they head up into the mountains. It is a... we're going to have to wait for things to sort themselves out. There we go. It is a 2.5 second lead for Sebastian, but Sebastian has now got Hef Martin in his way. He is now clear, and it is going to be Johan Leff who's on the charge now, trying to pick his way through the traffic. Neither of these drivers showing an ounce of patience as they charge their way through the top of the mountain. I can only imagine there is going to be a big accident coming some point soon, because these two are on an absolute charge down the mountain. As Johan Leff sending it to the inside of the M2. This is surgical stuff by the pair of them, but I wonder how long can they keep this up before a driver ahead of them does not get the memo to get the hell out the way. You're seeing more and more drivers peel into the pit lane as Johan Leff blasts his way past another back marker. Is now just a second behind Sergi Sebastian, who's had to pick his way past another M2 in an inopportune position. And now that gap at just 0.8 seconds. And all the while, Joe Wilson is following these two quite handily. Sam McCarthy now emerges from the pit lane in what is, I think, P4? Yes, a net P4. Do not pay attention to the timing tower. It is incredibly wrong. Johan Leff in pursuit of Sergi Sebastian up the mountain as there is more traffic ahead for our race leader. And it is a back marker Porsche Cup trying to pick its way past our race leader as well. This is nail-biting stuff as Julius Latch just wants to get the hell out of the way of these cars. He's leading in the M2 class and does... Oh! And that is an incident there for Sergi Sebastian. Heavy into the wall. and somehow stays ahead. Oh, I don't know how he stayed ahead. As they come onto what is quite a part of the racetrack, I want another view. Oh, sorry, this helicam is crap. We're going to go try and get a different view of this. Hey, come on. Oh, well, thank you, camera angle, for... So how did... So Sergio Sebastian just being able to cut the chicane, bouncing off the wall, held position. I wonder how much damage there is to the front of that car. That was a heavy clout into the wall. And Sergio Sebastian now under a lot of pressure from the driver who got pole position, Johan Leff, and I think there must be definitely some aerodynamic damage to the front of that car. How much is that going to cost him down this long straight? And still, Sergio Sebastian holding position ahead of Johan Leff. We have a request to try and find what happened to car number 71. I wonder if I'm going to be able to find that. Oh. Oh! Yep, that's a race-ending incident right there. Ouch. And as they fly down the mountain again. Oh, such a horrible place to catch one of the M2s. And thankfully for Sergio Sebastian, with Johan Leff following so close behind, he has to react in the same way. And actually loses out substantially down this back straight. So we have just two cars at the front left to pit. Meyer van Dijk now leading this race, with Williamson peeling into the pit lane. And apologies, I think we missed this one, but we've had a change of position for the, or change of lead for the BMW M2 class. Andre Thierry now some 4 seconds ahead of Latz. Again, we say we don't know if Latz sustained some damage in an earlier incident, but good battling here from Thierry. Is on a little bit of a their own part of the track at the moment, not a car in sight. But good to check it and see how they're getting on. As we return to the action at the front of the field with our very heavily damaged Sergio Sebastian, still trying to hold on ahead of Johan Leff. They climb the mountain, an almighty twitch for Sebastian. Really showing the amount of damage. And again, Sergio Sebastian, whether it's by intention or just because of how damaged that car is, really getting close to those walls and using all of the racetrack. He's still showing good pace at the moment, still holding the fastest lap of the race. And at the moment, fastest driver out there still. So that damage. Oh, and was that a hit of the wall I did see there for Leff? It was a little bounce out of off the outside barrier. Nothing too substantial. But we can see both of our leading drivers pushing hard. As Fellini's Nitro is back ahead of Amy X after the round of pit stops, but with X closing in again. Roxy is hunting, and she wants some prey. And down onto the long back straight. Maya van Dijk has pitted. So Sergio Sebastian retakes the lead of this race. We also have, I was going to say battling behind, but hard pushing between Jakub Borovic and Jarno Briznik. And as they descend through Skyline, nose to tail, the M2 ahead. This is really going to be down to who can get the better drive out of the hairpin at the bottom of the hill. They come through side by side. Briznik having to give up the apex, well, both having to give up the apex as they descend onto the chase. Too big a distance between them for any real... Oh, that is a car well off the circuit. I'm not sure who that is. As we return to the battle between Nitro and Aix, as Aix looks to the inside. They are behind our championship leader in the M2s. Juhis Lats, who want to be leaving plenty of space for these two, does not want to be caught up in an incident here. As Nitro clobbers the wall, gives barely an inch of space for Lats to keep it on the inside. These two racing hard. As Lats putting a couple of wheels out onto the dirt. As up ahead, Kai Banks has picked his way up past Slavik Klinger. And I think Slavik Klinger just backing out of the throttle a little bit there and realises Banks quite a bit faster. Did qualify in P6, so making his way back up after an earlier incident. As Aix and Nitro side by side coming down the chase. And that is now P11 for Amy Aix. As there are more M2s off the circuit. Also Aix off the circuit. As Nitro reclaims the position. Back up into P11. What happened there? What the? Okay, we're going to go back and we're going to see what happened there. Who is that? I do not know what car that was. Nope, apologies, I have no idea. Oh, Williamson. Let's go and see if we can... Oh, okay, Williamson has been here for quite a while. I went back 30 seconds. Oh, that's a real... That's the real Austin Powers turnaround there. Think Williamson. I see you running the no practice gang livery. I suggest next time do a bit of practice. We've got a battle over P28. It is P5 in the BMWs with Jules Flint and Barnes climbing their way up the mountain. As our track or our grid is spreading out just a little bit. As our race leader coming up towards a bit more traffic. This battle between Flint and Barnes. Getting closer now. Looks like Barnes more confident in the twisty part of the mountains. Flint just not carrying the speed through that downhill section. Perhaps understandably wary of the walls through that section of the track. Oh, and I don't see an incident on my instant tracker, but we have Amy Yates into the pits. We did see a cut past the stricken car of Williamson, but has had to dive off into the pit lane. As now, Johan left within 0.3 seconds of Sergi Sebastian. And they've got another of the M2s up ahead to deal with. With just 2 minutes of this race remaining. Johan Leff able to get a slightly better run through the corner. Should have a little bit more speed. They come down towards the second corner of the circuit. Sebastian holding on to P1. Which, as a reminder to you all, Sergio Sebastian gained this position through the pit stops. A much quicker pit stop for Sebastian. Saw him take the lead into this second stint of the race. And Johan Leff, driver who got pole position, now chasing to try and take the race win. Both these drivers really sending it through this downhill section of the mountain. The walls perilously close as they come to finish what will be the penultimate lap of this race. And there is a substantial amount of traffic ahead of them. I bet Sergi Sebastian wishes the race would end this lap, but no such luck. For our race leader, he's going to have to pick his way through the chaos that he can see up ahead, and the chaos it is, as there's a driver recovering for an off-track excursion. As again, Sergi Sebastian gets his exit compromised by a car ahead. We come onto the long run down to turn 2. We've got drivers battling up ahead. Are they going to notice our race leader coming through as he makes his way past on the grass? We head into the mountain for our final lap of the race. And we have battling back markers up ahead. And it is an old Cup car, I can see. That is definitely one of the old ones with the 4 front lights. As, oh, well, it wouldn't be good if Perry and Sebastian make contact again in this race. That would be poor form. As they're picking their way through. Johan Leff right on the back of Sergi Sebastian. Oh, I am so scared for all, as big contact there between Sebastian and Perry. We head down the hill. Will Leff be able to get the run? He's right in the slipstream. And that is our race leading BMW M2 up ahead. As Sergi Sebastian goes off circuit onto the grass, Johan Leff up into the lead of the race, into the final corner. And in the end, it was a mistake that made for Sergi Sebastian. Johan Leff takes the win here at Mount Panorama, followed by Sergi Sebastian. Joe Wilson in the end was right up behind that battle. Sam McCarthy finishing in P4 with Matthew Parry in P5. Raj Fahip finishes in P6. As behind. And actually heading on to another lap is our race leader in the M2s. Apologies, I must have mistaken him for another car. Is Andre Thierry. And gets what will be a reasonably long parade lap here, with the checkered flag already having waved. Juhis Lat some 3 seconds behind. And Oscar Yaram. I apologise, I will pronounce your name correctly on the first attempt at some point. Well, what a race we had here tonight, everyone. Mount Panorama always does deliver in these multi-class races, but I wasn't expecting that to come down to the final 2 corners of the race circuit. What a battle. And as our top 3 in the M2 class make their way down through the chase and into final chicane. Race leader in the M2 class taking the chicane correctly. No final lap drama for Andre Thierry, with just 1 corner to go to take the race win. Yeah. At Mount Panorama is Andre Thierry, to be followed home in P2 by Juhis Lats, and in P3, Oscar Yaram. Well, that was a very, very exciting race. Yet again, Mount Panorama delivers, as does the Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass, sponsored by SimQuips. Now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. That was our last race of the season. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for season 22 of Pitskill.io and the Porsche Cup and TCX Multiclass. We still do have a few more races remaining of our 21st season. And, of course, our VIP trophy will be broadcast on Wednesday, again here at Mount Panorama. That will be broadcast by our very own Terry Farish over on the Pitskill.io Twitch channel. So please do subscribe to that and check that out. Do also make sure you get yourself signed up on Pitskill.io over on the link in the description below, and also check out their Discord for all of the announcements when the next season goes live, and you can get yourself on grid and get racing. But all that remains for me to say now is thank you very much for tuning in for tonight's race and for the whole season. Really did love having you with me. It's had some fantastic races this season. If you did enjoy the broadcast, please do like and subscribe. Really does help us reach more viewers and hopefully get more people on the grid. And well, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I will leave you with the highlights from tonight's race, which there are doubtless magnitudes. So have a very lovely rest of your day, and good night.